The Autopen, I think, is maybe one of the biggest scandals that we've had in 50 to 100 years. This is a tremendous scandal. And I know the people on the other side of the, see that desk, that Resolute desk? Unfortunately, he used it before me. But, you know, we have our choice of 7 desks. They're all beautiful. But I chose the Resolute, and so did he, unfortunately. But the people on the other side of the Resolute desk, I know them. Lisa, the whole group, and they're no good. They're sick people. And I guarantee you he knew nothing about what he was signing. I guarantee it. So they're going to figure it out, and we'll see what happens.
Welcome back to the Megyn Kelly Show. Michael Shellenberger is my guest. He's founder of Public on Substack. Michael, that was the president commenting on this New York Times report on the Autopen, where they, for the first time, got access briefly to Joe Biden himself. And it was revealed by him, he claimed, that he had orally granted all the pardons and commutations issued at the end of his term, saying, I made every decision. But the New York Times actually unearthing that the person who would actually press go on the Autopen was, her last name is Feldman. And she, I guess, felt uncomfortable with the process they had set up because she was not in any of the meetings with the president, only was receiving direction from underlings, and wanted to have some written accounts confirming his oral instructions in these meetings. And yet all she got was assistants who drafted blurbs who were not themselves in the room. The assistants then circulated the drafts to the people who were in the room, like Ed Siskel, his White House counsel, Jeff Zients, his chief of staff, and some others. And that whole people wound up pardoned or having their sentences commuted by Jeff Zients just simply hitting reply to all to approve these decisions. So it was like Biden orally to some set of staff. Then the girl who had to press go said, can I have something in writing? And all she got was like a reply to all from the chief of staff saying, everything's approved. And that is how we wound up with some of the most controversial pardons in U.S. history. The only one he physically signed was the one for his son, Hunter Biden. What do you make of it?
Gosh.
Right.
How
that
could I
about sums it up.
possibly add anything to it? I mean, it's so crazy because if you're too debilitated to actually sign something, then how can you say that you were fully competent to actually make the decision? There's so much to unpack in there. I mean, I thought the Times piece, first of all, was very long. It was a very serious report. They then frame it sort of defensively on the side of Biden. Biden says he made the clemency decisions, but if you actually go read that full piece, it is absolutely damning. Comer, Congressman Comer doing oversight apparently is issuing new subpoenas. There's going to be more of an investigation. Where does it go legally? I mean, who knows? Does it go to the Supreme Court finally to rule on this stuff? I mean, there's so much in it. Jeff Zients, the chief of staff, Zients, who pardoned Fauci, was also the main social media censorship coordinator on COVID policy. So, I mean, it's just, so corrupt from top to bottom. It's really quite shocking.
That's really interesting because the other person who got pardoned, of course, was Fauci. And he's the only other one that I think the president admits in this meeting he personally said, specifically yes to. He said specifically yes to Hunter, specifically yes to Fauci, and he signed the Hunter pardon. But, I mean, the more we learn about Fauci, the more we come to understand that this whole cabal probably well understood that Fauci, this was not some prophylactic, just protect our friend who did nothing wrong, that perhaps it was much more nefarious. And they knew what we're starting to realize about Fauci and what we're starting to glean from the intel community, which is he knew far more and was repeatedly under oath with Congress lying.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's also such a testament to these cases that you think are actually that we know everything and they're ready to move on, that there's still information coming out about them. I mean, I thought we knew everything about Biden's, poor health until the Jake Tapper book came out, which was, I think, contained a bunch of new revelations, as annoying as it was coming from him. But similarly for COVID, there's so much we still don't know about COVID and what was it that they were doing? Was COVID, if it's created in a lab, I mean, this whole idea that it was people say it's a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy theory to suggest it was a bioweapon. But if it was created in a lab, it was potentially in, a lab that PLA had oversight over, the Chinese army, it was potentially a bioweapon. And so you're looking at essentially, I mean, I still told this to some progressive friends of mine. They were like, what are you actually saying? And I'm saying that it looks as though, and we don't have all the proof yet, but it looks as though the United States was involved in a bioweapons program, I think motivated to develop vaccines against those bioweapons, but was involved in a bioweapons and vaccination program in China. We funded it. We did a lot of the intellectual development of it. And then it leaked, and the guy that was responsible for creating it also oversaw the response, which, Megyn, I think people don't fully appreciate. I mean, we know, of course, that it was, people know that it was we over responded to it. One of the questions is why? Like, why was there such a radical, aggressive response to COVID with the lockdowns and the school closures? One possibility is that they knew perfectly well that it was a bioweapon, that it wasn't some thing that leaked out from the wild. And so one of the remaining questions that we want to get at is, did Fauci and his lieutenants realize, they were developing a bioweapon in that lab? Again, I'm not saying that it was some conspiracy to poison the world or kill all these people. I'm just saying, as a military project to develop vaccines to potential bioweapons. And then when it leaked, the response to it resembled much more of a response that you would have to a bioweapon rather than to some virus that had emerged naturally, from the jungles of South China.
Mm-hmm. And now I feel like we're never going to know, because there's no question in my mind that neither Fauci nor Francis Collins left those offices without scrubbing anything and everything that would have reflected any of that.
Yeah, you could be right. Like I said, I think that, I think we all thought, I've been publishing a debate around the JFK files, and the person that thinks it was a lone shooter wrote a book called Case Closed that came out in the 90s. So, I think that sometimes we think these things are case closed, but there is some information lurking out there. So another reason to keep the cases open and continue to investigate and continue to demand transparency in congressional hearings, because there could very well be more information out there that we're not aware of.
Well, and I wonder now whether the Fauci pardon, and for that matter, the Hunter Biden, I don't know. I'm not sure. If Biden was non-compos mentis, the Hunter one could be in trouble too. But really, the Autopen pardons, whether they're really going to stand. I mean, the odds, you'd have to put money on them standing. I don't think the Supreme Court's going to want to second guess any of this, but it's one of the reasons why we need this Dr. Kevin O'Connor to actually speak, notwithstanding his BS assertions of privilege, which don't stand when you're looking at a congressional subpoena, the attorney or the doctor-patient privilege. Now we'll see about the Fifth Amendment. If he gets immunity, that too should go away. Anyway, there's a lot more happening on that front. That one's not over, not by a long shot. Since President Trump was sworn in, his administration has made enormous progress at a breakneck pace. But don't forget, while they're moving mountains for the good of the nation, you've got your own personal savings to worry about. And one of the best ways to look after your savings is through diversification, particularly with gold, like from Birch Gold Group. In the past 12 months, the value of gold has increased by 40%. OMG. Central banks continue to bolster demand for gold by buying in record quantities. Global instability and tension is high, and Birch Gold makes owning physical gold extremely easy. Easily convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or buy some to store in your home safe. Just text MK to the number 989898 and Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, take control of your savings today. Text MK to the number 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.